There's something incredibly timeless about wood. It's warm, familiar, and grounding. But when wood steps off the floor and the furniture and climbs up onto the walls, something magical happens. It becomes more than structure, more than utility. It becomes expression. And wood wall art, whether it's abstract, rustic, geometric, minimalist, or intricately carved, is a way to turn the surface of your home into a living canvas. One that breathes with texture, movement, and a connection to nature that can't be replicated with paint or prints. The moment you place a piece of wood art on a wall, the room begins to shift. The sound changes. The light catches differently. There's a depth that appears where before there was only flatness. Whether it's a single sculptural statement or an entire wall installation, wood adds dimension, literally and emotionally. It invites you to pause, to trace the lines, to notice the story told in grain and not in carve. Because no two pieces are ever quite the same. Wood wall art can be as simple as a reclaimed plank with a message burned or painted on, or as complex as a multi-layered mosaic assembled from dozens, even hundreds of hand-cut segments. In both cases, the result is more than decor, it's experience. A visual and tactile reminder that beauty doesn't have to be polished or perfect. Sometimes it's rough, raw, imperfect. And that's what makes it so compelling. One of the most striking forms of wood wall art is the geometric panel. You've probably seen them, pieces made from small triangles, diamonds, or trapezoids, arranged in rhythmic patterns that catch the eye and play with perspective. Often stained in different tones or left in their natural hues, they create movement without needing a single moving part. They shift with the light throughout the day. In the morning sun, the lighter grains shine. In the evening, the deeper stains pull shadows into their depth. It's art that interacts with time. Another powerful approach is 3D relief work, carved or built-up designs that protrude from the wall and create shadow play. These might be intricate mandala-style pieces with concentric rings of carved wood, or minimalist ridges and waves that mimic landscapes and topography. Some are abstract. Some tell stories. But all of them do what wood does best. They connect the tactile with the visual. You can almost feel them just by looking. For those drawn to the organic, driftwood and live-edge wall pieces offer a more fluid, nature-forward aesthetic. These works might use the natural curves of found wood, letting the shape dictate the art rather than forcing the material into rigid symmetry. A single twisted branch mounted on the wall. A panel of live-edge slices placed like stepping stones across a space. These kinds of pieces carry a wildness with them. A whisper of forest, of river, of time spent exposed to sun and rain and wind. Reclaimed wood wall art tells a different kind of story. These are pieces made from materials that once had another life. Barn boards, floor joists, shipping pallets, or broken furniture. They come with scars, nail holes, saw marks, layers of faded paint. And when those elements are preserved, not hidden, the art becomes layered with memory. A piece made from salvaged wood isn't just beautiful, it's responsible. It honors the life the wood has already lived and gives it a new chapter. Minimalist wooden wall art works in another direction entirely. Clean lines, smooth surfaces, maybe just a single tone. These pieces often focus on the shape of the negative space as much as the wood itself. A thin frame with gentle curves. A carved circle. A plank etched with barely their textures. These pieces whisper rather than shout. But in their restraint, they create calm. Order. A quiet kind of elegance that can balance out bolder elements in a room. In modern homes, wood wall art is often used to soften harder elements. Concrete floors. Metal accents. High ceilings. When you bring in wood, especially in sculptural or artistic form, it brings warmth, humanity, a sense of presence. A large wooden art panel above a couch. A series of smaller wooden tiles arranged in a grid down a hallway. Even a single wooden medallion hung with intention can completely shift the tone of a space. There's also incredible opportunity for personalization. Wood lends itself to custom work in ways few other materials do. Artists and makers can carve names, dates, quotes, or symbols into wood in a way that feels permanent, yet gentle. These kinds of pieces make meaningful gifts. Wedding dates, family trees, house blessings, all carved into something that will last. Something that can be passed down. Beyond what we traditionally call art, wood also turns functional objects into wall statements. Wooden coat racks with hand-turned pegs. Shelves with sculptural brackets. Clocks made from thick slabs of wood. Even lighting, sconces or pendants with wooden backplates, becomes part of the art story. These pieces serve a purpose, but they also speak. They contribute to the aesthetic and emotional atmosphere of the room. When you mix different types of wood together in wall art, you get an even richer experience. The contrast between dark walnut and pale maple, the stripes of cherry and oak, the unpredictable grain of spalted wood next to the steady lines of ash. Even if the shapes are simple, the variation in color and texture makes the piece feel alive. You don't need bold colors when the material itself is this expressive. And you don't need a lot of space either. A small apartment wall can still host a beautiful piece of wood art. Something compact, layered, and meaningful. You can start with one piece and build around it, or create a gallery wall of smaller works, each one different, but tied together by tone or theme. It's less about size and more about intention. What do you want the space to feel like when you walk in? Grounded? Energized? Inspired? One thing that's often overlooked is the scent. Real wood carries a subtle aroma, especially if it's unfinished, oiled, or lightly sanded. It's faint but unmistakable. It's a scent of cabins and forests, of woodworking shops and sun-warmed trees. It adds another sensory layer that makes a house feel like a home. Choosing wooden wall art isn't just about decor. It's about connection. To the natural world. To tradition. To materials that age and change and grow more beautiful with time. It's a rejection of the disposable. A nod to the lasting. A belief that what you hang on your wall should be as meaningful as what you place in your heart. It's also a celebration of craft. Most wooden wall art isn't machine-made. It's shaped by hand. Sanded, cut, fitted, stained, assembled, and finished by someone who understands the grain. Who listens to the wood. Who knows when to guide and when to get out of the way. And that energy, that care, is carried into your space when you bring that art home. So whether it's a towering carved panel, a set of simple blocks, a poetic slice of live-edge hardwood, or a reclaimed mosaic, wood wall art becomes part of your space in a way no other material can. It doesn't just sit on the wall. It lives there. It anchors the room. It speaks to your values, your style, your love of texture and tone and story. And maybe, most of all, it reminds you of something deeper. That beauty doesn't have to be loud. That nature makes the best artist. And that sometimes the oldest materials can tell the freshest stories, if we're willing to listen. Wood wall art is more than just decoration, it's a statement. A way to bring nature's warmth and texture directly into your living space without overwhelming it. When you hang a piece of wood art on your wall, you're not just adding color or pattern, you're adding depth, story, and presence. Unlike flat prints or mass-produced posters, wooden art carries a weight, both literal and emotional, that invites you to look closer, to feel something more. What makes wood wall art so compelling is its raw honesty. Each plank, each carved groove, each layered piece tells a story. You see the grain, the knots, the natural imperfections that no paint or canvas can replicate. These are marks of time, of growth, of nature's own artistry. And when an artist or craftsman brings that natural beauty together with creative design, the result is something uniquely alive. Art that doesn't just sit quietly on a wall but speaks. Wood wall art has a kind of timeless versatility. It fits in a modern, minimalist home, bringing just enough organic warmth to soften sharp edges and cold surfaces. It enhances rustic spaces, reinforcing the earthy, lived-in feeling. It adds texture and contrast to industrial interiors. Even in eclectic or bohemian rooms, it provides a natural anchor, a grounding element that ties together diverse styles and colors. But what really sets wood wall art apart is its tactile nature. Unlike flat art, wooden pieces invite you to reach out, to feel the texture of the surface. The smooth curves, the rough edges, the carved details, they all add layers of experience that engage more than just your eyes. It's a reminder that art doesn't have to be untouchable. It can be something you live with, something you interact with, something that adds warmth to your everyday. The beauty of wooden wall art is also how it embraces imperfection. Where many forms of art seek flawless symmetry or polished finishes, wood celebrates the unexpected. A knot here, a split there, a grain line that shifts direction. These flaws become features, adding character and depth. They make each piece one of a kind. And that's the power of working with natural materials. No two pieces are ever the same, and each tells a story that's completely its own. Wood wall art can take many forms: geometric patterns that create dynamic movement across a wall, abstract compositions that spark curiosity, sculptural panels that add three-dimensional depth. Whether you prefer clean lines or organic shapes, subtle tones or bold contrasts, there's a piece of wooden art that fits your style. And because wood works so well with other materials, metal, stone, glass, it can also be combined to create mixed media pieces that push boundaries and redefine what wall art can be. In a world saturated with digital images and mass production, Wood wall art offers a refreshing return to the tangible and the authentic. It connects us back to nature, to craft, to the slow and deliberate process of creation. It reminds us that art can be both beautiful and functional, both a visual centerpiece and a textured experience. So if you're looking to elevate your space, whether it's a cozy living room, a minimalist office, or a welcoming hallway, consider the power of wood wall art. It doesn't just fill your walls. It fills your space with meaning, warmth, and a story that's rooted in the natural world but shaped by human hands. Because in the end, wood wall art isn't just something to hang. It's something to live with, something to feel, something to come back to again and again.